Any knife, any distance, any angle, any position. No games, no gimmicks, no limits.
Hello, I'm Ralph Thorn, the author and illustrator of this book, Combat Knife Throwing. The video you are now watching demonstrates the advantages of the knife throwing techniques that I have developed and which I describe in my book. My techniques are new to the world of knife throwing and they improve on it in many ways. They make knife throwing fun, easy, practical, and more effective. They also make things possible that are not possible with other styles, particularly in the area of mobile and improvisational throws. That's because in the style of knife throwing that I use, the knife doesn't rotate like this when you throw it, but flies straight like an arrow. Before we begin, I want to remind you that knife throwing can be very dangerous and that you shouldn't try anything you see on this video without the proper instruction. This is not an instructional video, it's just a demonstration. Keep that in mind. I want to show you the 10 biggest advantages of the style of knife throwing I've developed. The first of these big advantages is the fact that with my style, you don't have to measure steps or measure distances. You can throw from any distance you want and any speed you want, which is something that's impossible with older styles of knife throwing. The second biggest advantage is the fact that this is a completely mobile throwing style. Not only can you throw from any distance, which means that you can throw at moving targets, but you can also throw while you're moving. For example, while you're running, while you're jumping. Advantage number 3, with this style of throwing, it's possible to throw from practically any body position with either hand from practically any arm angle. Advantage number 4. With my style, knife throwing is so easy that you don't need a high level of manual dexterity or a high level of skill to throw knives. For example, I can throw knives wearing socks on my hands even while I'm lying on my back or throwing 2 knives at the same time. Advantage number 5. With a spinless throw, you can stick targets from unknown distances without even being able to see them. Advantage number 6. With my style, you're not limited to specialized throwing knives. You can throw practically any kind of knife. In fact, you can throw practically anything with a point on it. The 7th major advantage. This is a very powerful throwing style. You don't just stick targets with this style, you stick them very hard. In fact, you'll often find that you'll have trouble even pulling the knives out of the targets. Not only can you throw hard, you can throw from extremely long ranges, which is advantage number 8. These are inherently accurate throwing methods, which is advantage 9. And finally, advantage 10. This style allows a more advanced thrower to make mobile and improvisational throws of a kind that are practically impossible with other styles, including throws involving juggling, twirling, that kind of thing. These combined elements make my style knife throwing into a legitimate martial art. They're made possible by the very simple grip and release methods that I've developed. So now I'd like to briefly introduce you to those things. If we're going to be throwing knives, obviously the first thing we're going to need are some knives and some targets. It's best to have multiple knives and at least 2 targets so that you use your practice time more efficiently.
Multiple targets help the thrower spend more time throwing knives and less time walking back and forth retrieving these knives. Don't worry about making targets look fancy, since they quickly go to waste when they are used for real practice. Make sure the targets are far enough apart to allow for longer throws or for throwing larger knives. Large knives are easier to stick, particularly for beginners, but are generally less accurate. A single large target complex combined with multiple knives also gives good results. An indoor facility with wooden walls is ideal.
Beginners should use flat boards as targets because they're more predictable. The easiest thing to do is to build a frame and lean it up against something sturdy like a post or a wall, and then attach 2x4s to that frame as the actual targets.
The blade throw can also be performed underhand using the alternate underhand grip, that is, with the plane of the blade flat.
once you're getting knives to stick in, you'll want to improve all of your basic skills. Those are accuracy, arm angle, release, range, footwork, and power or velocity.
All basic knife throwing skills are developed primarily through sheer repetition. However, certain exercises such as the one we just saw help train the thrower to develop a wide variety of advanced skills that relate to combat. To perform this particular throw, the thrower must be able to quickly set the knife in his hand, locate the target, then release the throw very quickly and powerfully with whatever arm angle and stance that are necessary. Viewing at normal speed, note that the time between the moment the knife strikes the thrower's hand and the time it impacts the target are all the time he has to make these adjustments.
All 6 of these basic issues or basic skills in knife throwing are interrelated, but the one that is connected to all the others is power. By that I mean that if you're learning to throw hard, you're automatically learning all these other basic skills. For example, if I'm able to throw hard, I have to have good footwork. In order to be able to throw hard, I have to have a correct arm angle, a correct release point. So by throwing hard, I learn everything else at the same time.
We just saw the proper technique for a beginner's power throw. Note, as we see it again in slow motion, how the feet are turned parallel to the target's face, not pointed towards it, and conversely, how the shoulders are squared to the target. That is, the lead shoulder points at the target with the shoulder of the throwing arm directly behind. The body weight shifts to the back foot as the knife is drawn back, then to the lead foot as the thrower leads forward to the target and then releases the knife, drawing the throwing arm across the body and ending with the hand at the opposite knee. To gain more power, the knife is released later than with the beginner's lob throw, meaning that the wrist must snap harder in a power throw and the knife will fly in a straighter line. After developing sufficient power to perform it properly, an advanced thrower will prefer the more versatile sidearm throw. The sidearm makes many more angles available to the thrower than with the overhand. The sidearm release is also quicker and more compact than the overhand, having a more whip-like throwing motion, and its attack angle can be much more easily adjusted to hit a moving target. This is the correct form for the advanced thrower. In addition to increasing range and making more arm angles available, power also makes wrong foot and other off-balance throws easy. And ultimately, it is sheer power that allows a thrower to force a knife to stick almost regardless of the size or type of knife, the arm angle, or the motion and position of the thrower's body. To be a true martial arts thrower is to be a power thrower. Note, the thrower never looks at the knife or target.
This kind of trick throwing is fun in and of itself, but it also has a more serious side in that it builds skills for the kinds of improvisational throwing that makes it potentially useful for martial arts. I go into these subjects in greater detail, of course, in my book and in my upcoming instructional video. To find out more, check out my books or videos or contact me personally.